In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, পরম করুণাময়, অতিশয় দয়াবান আল্লাহর নামে শুরু করিলাম। বিসমিল্লাহির রহমানির রহিম। Dear students, today I have decided to discuss 4 poems. In the previous 3 classes, I discussed 6 poems, and today, though the number is very high, but the poems are small in size. So, inshallah, by the stipulated time, I will be able to complete my discussion. And there are 2 poems named Dreams, and the other 2 poems are The Late Isle of Ministry, and the last one is September 1, 1939. Now, before starting the discussion, I would like to tell you that dreams are very much important parts of our life, and all people dreams, and they dream in different ways. Actually, the poet are telling the importance about the dream, and also the poet actually is urging to carry on dreaming. And here in your syllabus there are 2 poems named Dreams, and they are of 2 sides of Atlantic. One belong to England and another one belong to America. Now let us discuss the poem line by line. Here, Dreams by D.S. Lawrence, and he was actually poet of England, and he was born in 1885 and he died in 1930. Now let us read the poem line by line. All people dream, but not equally. Here the poet is telling that all people dream, that is, the people, those who are living in the society, they actually dream, but he is telling that they dream in different way. Those who dream by night in the dusty recesses of their mind, that is, some people dream at night, and he has mentioned the way they dream during night. Now he is telling that while in the morning, wake in the morning to find that it was vanity. That is, those who dream at night, actually they are very much safe and sound, and they do not do any harm to other people, and they are the poet is actually trying to tell that those who dream at night, they do not do any harm, because by getting up early in the morning, they do not find anything of their dream. In the second stanza, the poet is telling that some people dream during daytime by their open eyes. Now, let us see what does the poet tell about them. But the dreamers of the day are dangerous people. Here the poet has declared forcibly that those who dream during daytime, they are dangerous, for they dream their dreams with open eyes. The poet has told here clearly that they dream by their open eyes, so they are dangerous. Now, and make them come true. That is, though the poet has told that those who dream during daytime, they are dangerous, but they actually materialize their dream. And to materialize their dreams, they sometimes become very much jealous to others, and for their own interest, they sometimes do harm to other people. That is why, according to the poet, those who dream during daytime, they can be dangerous. Now, the line by line discussion is ended. Now, I am going to tell you in a nutshell about the poem. That is, the poet has told that the people of the society dream, and according to the poet, they dream in different ways. Some people dream at night, and those who dream at night, they are safe and sound, and they do not dream to others. They do not do harm to others. Actually, by getting up early in the morning, they do not find anything of the dream. But those who dream during daytime, they are dangerous, because by their open eyes they dream, and sometimes to materialize dream, and for their own interest they do harm to other people also. So those who dream during daytime, they are dangerous according to the poet. Now there is another poem written by Langston Hughes, and Langston Hughes was born in 1902 and he died 1967, and he is an American poet. Now let us see what does the poet tell about dreams. Hold fast to dreams. That is, the poet is actually urging us to carry on dreaming. For if dreams die, the poet is telling that if dreams die, it is not good. Let us see what happens. Life is a broken wing bird. That is, bird flies in the sky, and to fly in the sky they depend on their wings, and if the wings are broken they cannot fly, they are helpless. And exactly like this, the person, if he or she does not have any dream, he or she is exactly like the broken wing bird, he cannot go forward, that cannot fly. The poet has mentioned it clearly that the broken wing bird cannot fly in the sky. And again in the final stanza, the poet is asserting us that we should dream, and that is why he is urging us, hold fast to dreams. Again he has inspired us to carry on dreaming, for when dreams go, he is telling that if dreams go, leaving a man, then something terrible happens. Now let us see what happens. Life is a barren field. That is, there are two types of land. One land is fertile and another land is barren. And in fertile land, crops are grown. But in a barren field, no crops grow. So, the poet has compared a dreamless life with a barren field. And you know, in barren field, no crops grow. So, exactly like this, if a person is dreamless in his life, nothing can happen, nothing good can happen. So, a person should dream. Frozen with snow. The poet has also told that when a field is covered with snow, no crops can grow. Exactly like this, when a person stops dreaming, his life will be frozen and he will not be able to do something productive for his own life, for the society and for the country. Here in this poem we have come to know that the poet is actually urging the people to carry on dreaming, and he has compared the dreamless life with two things. And first one is, a dreamless life is like a broken wing bird that cannot fly. And in the second stanza, and in the final stanza actually, the poet compared a dreamless life with a barren field that is also covered with frozen snow, and that field cannot produce any crops. And exactly like this, a dreamless person can not also do something good for him, for his country. That is, he is a useless person. So according to the poet, we should carry on dreaming. Now dear listeners and the students, please listen carefully. I am going to start another poem. The name of the poem is The Lake Isle of Innisfree, and it was written by W.B. Yeats. The Lake Isle of Innisfree, and the poet is W.B. Yeats, who was an Irish poet, and he was born in 1865 and he worked 1939. Now, this poem, The Lake Isle of Innisfree, is split into 3 stanzas, and let us discuss what the poet is actually trying to tell us. In the first line of the poem, the poet has told us that I will arise and go now and go to Innisfree. Here, Innisfree is a place and it is far away from human habitation. The poet is willing to go there. I will arise and go now and go to Innisfree. That is, right now the poet is willing to go to Innisfree. And a small cabin built there of clay and wattles made. That is, the poet will do an interesting thing by going there. He is willing to build a small cabin, not a huge building. That is, he will build a small cabin, and the cabin is going to be built by mud, and it is also going to be built by wattles, and wattles actually are the parts of bamboo, and it is of course a very simple materials. And by making the cabin, the poet is going to do something. Now let us see what he will do. By lying down flat inside the cabin, he will get something interesting, that is 9 beans, rows will I have there, a hive for the honey bee. That is, the poet will build his cabin in an area where you will see 9 beans row. Here the number 9 has been used as a special number, and it is not mentioned here clearly why the poet used the number 9. Maybe it is important to him. Okay, you will get 9 beans rows. That is, bean is a curry, and by going to the Innisfree, by staying inside the cabin, you will get bean, and most probably you will eat beans. A hive for the honeybee, that is, by going there he will drink honey from the honeybee, and drinking honey is very interesting, and he has decided not to stay in the modern society. He will go to Innisfree and he will build a small cabin, and he will remain inside the cabin. He will eat beans and he will drink honey from the honey beehive, from the honeycomb from the beehive. And in the last line of the first stanza, and live alone in the bee-loved glade. That is, by hearing the buzzing sound of the bee, he will feel comfort, he will be highly glad, and he will enjoy the buzzing sound of the beehive. Now in the second stanza, and I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow. That is, the poet is not getting peace in this society, so he will go to Innisfree, that is far away from human habitation, and lying inside the cabin he will get peace, and peace shall drop down upon him slowly. Dropping from the bells of the morning to where the cricket sings. That is, very early in the morning you will get up and you will hear the sound of the cricket. And you know, cricket is a game in our society, but here in this poem, cricket is not a game, and it's a kind of insect, and in Bengali that is called jijipuka. You will hear the melodious song of the cricket. Those there midnights all a glimmer, and noon a purple glow. Here in this line, the poet has mentioned 2 times. That is, at the midnight you will enjoy the beautiful stars, and you will enjoy the beauty of the sky, and at noon you will watch the purple color sky, and in the last line of the second stanza, an evening full of the linnet's wings. Linnet is a kind of bird, and it is of course very beautiful bird, and the poet has been deeply motivated by the beauty of this bird, so he has mentioned the name of this bird, and you will hear the flapping sound of this bird. And he has mentioned the time, that is in the evening you will hear the flapping sound of the bird. And in the final stanza, that is in the third stanza, again the poet is declaring it forcibly that I will arise and go now. That is, right now, without being late, he is going to leave this area and he will go to Innisfree. For always night and day, that is during night, at night and during daytime, he is being urged to go there. He is being asked to go to Innisfree, far away from human habitation, and he will build a small cabin there. I hear lake water lapping with low sounds of the shore. That is, in the Innisfree you will get a lake there, and the waves of the lakes are actually creating sound, and you will hear the lapping sound of the waves of the lake, and by remaining inside the cabin you will hear the lapping sound of the lake. Now, while I stand on the roadway or on the pavement's grey, that is, the poet has actually not yet gone to Innisfree. He is only desiring to go there because that's a very good place, an isolated place, and he is still in the modern society. He is by standing on the roadway or by standing on the grey pavements, he is hearing the alluring sounds of the lake of the Innisfree, and he is actually desiring to go there. I hear it in the deep heart's core, that is the lapping sound of the lake that is situated in Innisfree. He is hearing actually, even though he is standing in the modern society, he is standing on the roadway, he is standing on the recolored pavements. He is actually willing to go there, and he is hearing all the melodious sounds of the Innisfree from the core of his heart. Here in this poem, we have come to know that the poet is somehow bored by the modern society life, and he has come to realize that in the modern society there is any way to get peace. So he is firmly determined to go to the Innisfree, and by going to the Innisfree he will build a small cabin there, and the cabin will be made by mud and wattle, and he will be lying down flat, and he will have 9 bean rows there, and he will have honey from the beehive, and he will actually enjoy the atmosphere also. At night he will watch the beauty of the sky, and at noon he will also watch the purple color sky, and in the evening he will hear the flapping sound of a bird named linnet, and also he will hear the lapping sound of the lake situated in the Innisfree. That is, life will be comfortable, and he will get peace, and peace shall drop down upon him slowly. And now the last poem, the name of the poem is September 1, 1939, and it was written by W.S. Auden, and he was born in 1907 and he died in 1973, and he is an Anglo-American poet. Actually, this is an important poem, and you know, when Second World War was started, the total condition of the earth was disturbed, and there was no peace in the mind of the people. And exactly like this, the American people were also disappointed, and they were dismayed. And the poet is actually an American people, so he is actually representing the all people of America. Now, initially I will discuss the poem line by line, and later on I will try to tell you something more about the poem. Actually, the poet has started by I, and this I actually stands for the poet himself. I sit on one of the dives. Dives mean actually one kind of shop where anybody can take wine, and wine is actually strictly prohibited in our Bangladesh, but it is actually allowed in America. So the poet is staying in a shop. Actually, he is willing to take wine on 52nd Street. That is, the wine shop is situated in 52 number street. Uncertain and afraid. That is, he is actually not certain about his future, and he is afraid of what is going in future. That is, the war was actually started. Italy and Germany actually they started to attack their neighboring country, and the American people are also afraid of being attacked. So all the people are afraid of, and exactly like other people, our poet is also afraid. As the clever hopes expire. Here in this poem, the poet has mentioned clever hopes. That is, all the good hopes of all human beings are actually disappeared here, of a low, dishonest decade. The time is not good. That is why the poet has mentioned the time dishonest. Waves of anger and fear, that is everywhere. Everybody was angry with each other, and the people were in fear. And circulate over the bright, that is, the dangers of war was actually hovering at the head of the people. And darkened lands of the earth, that is, all the lands of the earth are covered with the darkness, because war is not at all a good thing. As long as the Second World War was started, that is, the time was actually covered with darkness, obsessing our private lives. That is, there was no any private life, there was no any thinking for their own family, because nobody knows what is going to happen. So none could think properly for his family life. The unmentionable order of death. That is, death is not an expected thing. So the poet has mentioned here that the poet is getting unmentionable order of death. And it is, odor means very bad smell, and death comes with offensive smell. That is, offensive smell means the smell that cannot be tolerated, that cannot be actually accepted. So the poet has mentioned here unmentionable order of death. He is actually sensing that a lot of people will die due to war. Often the September night. The war was actually started on September, so the poet is actually telling that the September night was attacked by all bad things. Here in this poem, last of all, I would like to tell you that at the beginning of the Second World War, all the people of the world were disturbed, and exactly like this, the American people were also disturbed. So the poet here is representing the people of America, and the poet is actually very much dismayed, and he is actually frustrated. He is in fear, and he actually sensing that a lot of people die. So the poet has mentioned here that he is actually getting unmentionable order of death, and war is an unexpected thing. Even though the Second World War started and people are dismayed, and our poet is also dismayed. And this is all for today. Thank you very much. In the next class, I have an intention to discuss 2 more poems, and with the discussion of those 2 more poems, our poem discussion shall be ended. And till then, goodbye. Assalamu alaikum.